A warm good evening to one and all the participants here, and may I use this occasion to thank Dr. Samir Babu for having given me a chance to interact with the young budding researchers, especially settled in University of Kerala. Though we are all in a state, it is only on rare occasions that we actually get opportunities to share our views each other, especially to the young research scholars, other than the seminars, etc. And hence, I am thankful to all the authorities of the University of Kerala, and especially the faculty members of Department of Education, who have given me this opportunity to be in interaction with the budding researchers, especially of education and other social sciences, from University of Kerala and across India. If you, I think, are from other states as well. And I would actually like to interact with you than me presenting something very serious about the research environment. When I gave a thought to research environment, doctoral research environment in India, and that too focusing on social sciences, have the limitation of having experience only in education as a discipline. And my examples, if any, would be highly be relevant to scholars of education only. In spite of that, I may focus my presentation largely on the social science doctoral research environment in India. Research in any discipline of thought, whether sciences, whether engineering and technology, whether medical sciences or social sciences or art, is an ongoing process of enhancing the existing fund of knowledge in the respective areas by exploring new frontiers that challenge the human quest for understanding, especially our community, human life, and the physical as well as social environment of us. And I think and understand that this seminar is part of our effort to enhance the quality of research, quality parameters of higher education in general and research in special. The question of the quality of research underscores whether the research in any branch of knowledge enriches knowledge ecosystem in a significant manner, whether our research is adding to, whether the researches that we are doing as part of our doctoral degrees are adding to the respective disciplines or the general understanding of human life and improvement of human life is a question. The question of quality of research has become the center of academic, professional, and higher education policy debate, not only in India and all over the world. When we pinpoint our discussion to the research environment in India, we have to bear in mind that Indian university system function in a heterogeneous condition. It is not a single monolithic research culture across all universities, across all states, across all departments, across all disciplines, across all regions, etc. It is very heterogeneous, comprising of different social, different language, regional, economic, even multiple type of locations like metropolitan, urban areas, tribal areas, and having different infrastructural facilities. Some institutions like maybe Tata Institute of Social Sciences, maybe rich in supporting infrastructure. Some may be poor, just like our state universities. Many of our affiliated colleges were it is approved research centers. Some may be moderate, like our Center for Development Studies. And hence, when we are speaking about the research environment in India, we are not speaking about a monolithic environment. And also, when we are speaking about even the doctoral research, the aspiration of the scholars who are engaged in this research may be much different. Maybe some researchers are having international aspirations. They might be trying to move to other countries, especially developed countries, for their postdoctoral studies, etc. So they might have international aspirations. Some might be having national aspirations. They may be trying to move from our state or local regions to more metropolitan oriented or central university oriented environments, like having national aspirations. And many might have only regional aspirations of having high quality research focusing on the very state or region where they are doing the research. Even some are only having the goal of getting a PhD degree and certificate. So the aspirations are also diverse in a country like India. These diversities I focus because are reflected in the student and teacher composition that influence the research activity in Indian universities. It is the combination of these aspirations, these diversities, not only in scholars, but also in their supervisors, that creates the quality research environment in India. And only in this context, in this complex social milieu, that we can discuss the question of quality of doctoral researchers in India, especially in social sciences. We know that both the central, federal, and state governments are having grand plans for education that are reflected in their attempt to expand the higher education environment, improve the equity of education environment, equity of educational opportunities, and also in their attempt, at least in improving the quality and excellence of educational provisions. Every aspect of higher education is being reorganized and remodeled for expansion, equity, and excellence. Funding of higher education, leadership of higher education, management of higher education, quality assurance, accountability, relationship with the industry, international collaboration, and the teaching as well as research are conducted with this focus of expansion, equity, and excellence. When we are discussing the research environment, we have to also consider to what extent our doctoral research facilities have increased. India has a very enormous growth in the research facilities in social sciences in recent years. And much of this expansion of research facilities is from doctoral research, leading to PhD in the university education system during the last few decades. The growth in numbers and the subsequent issues of quality of research output is calling for serious consideration of both the researchers as well as their supervisors. I think most of the scholars who are listening to me now will be aware that India has nearly 2 crores of higher education students. That itself is speaking about the vastness of Indian higher education system. But much of these 2 crores of students are enrolled for bachelor's degree, and only nearly 15% or so of these 2 crore people are enrolled for post-graduation, and only a minuscule of less than 1%, it is around 0.5% of these 2 crore students are actually enrolled for doctoral research. Doctoral students constitutes, even though they are a very minuscule of the higher education system, these doctoral students constitute an essential component of the research environment of every higher education institute. These scholars, both in sciences as well as social sciences, are the mainstay of faculty members for publishing and producing socially useful findings and extension. Often, research of the faculty members in all of the universities, both in sciences as well as social sciences, is an extension of the research of the research scholars. Given the significant role of the doctoral students in the research activity, it is only pertinent that we discuss what factors are actually influencing the quality, quantity, and the motivation, the output, etc. of doctoral students and doctoral research activities in our universities. First, I will focus on the macro context of doctoral research. The first element we have to consider while discussing the larger context environment of doctoral social science doctoral research in India is the number of students enrolled for this. Even as India is having a relatively stronger academic tradition in the humanities and social sciences, the research actually, even now, the focus is on science and technology, not on social sciences. For example, in 2004, it is nearly 15 years, more than 15 years back, India produced around 6,000 science, technology, and engineering PhDs, which has grown to nearly 9,000 nearly 10 years later. That number, whether it is 10,000, whether it is 6,000, whether it is 70,000 as it nearly stands now, nearly 20,000 students are being enrolled in science and technology every year in India at present. But it is a minuscule amount of doctoral research conducted all over the world. Even though India has a nearly 15% share of world population. So our share of research in total as well as through doctoral research is very low. That is one context. Globally, we are not that much influential, neither in the area of sciences nor in the area of social sciences with respect to numbers. A wide range of disciplines are included in social sciences. You might be aware that these include sociology, economics, history, anthropology, geography, psychology, public administration, political sciences, etc. The very area of social sciences is not that much clearly defined. There is some variation in disciplines such as economics, geography, anthropology, etc., which are taught in some universities at least as art subjects. While in other universities, for example, geography, psychology, etc., may be considered under science faculty. Similarly, history in some, is sometimes considered as a social sciences, but sometimes it is considered as humanities, just like philosophy and languages. Anyhow, whichever subject we include in social sciences, of the total expenditure of the research by the UGC, only less than 12% is allocated to research in social sciences and basic sciences. In the total grant of ICSSR, that is Indian Council of Social Science Research, when compared to Council of Scientific and Industrial Research CSIR, it is only 2.3% of CSIR is contributed to ICSSR. Even though it is very difficult to arrive at an accurate picture of what proportion of the national budget is allocated to social science research in India. Even as there is no clear picture of the share of budget allocated to especially social science research or whether researchers in universities, it is very clear that social science research is neglected in our universities and higher education system. In spite of this, government is said to be making major investment in research and higher education, including a 1/3 increase in higher education budget. And over that, government is trying to attract more foreign investment and attract foreign university investment in higher education as well, which will actually contribute to enhancing the number of doctoral researchers in social sciences as well. Coming specifically to social sciences, the number of researchers in 2010-2011, there were nearly as many doctoral research in social sciences as much as in sciences. I told you nearly 6,000 researchers were conducted. Doctoral researchers were conducted in sciences, and nearly 5,700 and more researchers were conducted in social sciences as well. But when we compare this, it comes mostly from education, commerce, economics, management, etc., and other subjects have a very low share of doctoral research conducted in our universities. Now, we have nearly more than 1.5 lakh of doctoral research students. And I would like to tell my education students that nearly of the 150,000 doctoral research students in India at present, maybe it may be a little more. I am citing the estimate of All India Survey of Higher Education in 2019. So it will be nearly, I think, 170,000 or 175,000. Of that, nearly 2,000 doctoral researchers are from education, the field of education. That means that nearly 2% or more of the total doctoral researchers in India is from education. And when we compare this with the number of dissertations, number of theses submitted, it is even more. Nearly 5% of the social science research in India is said to be from the field of education. And hence, the number of research, the quality of research of education is an influential factor in deciding the quality of social science research in general. When we take also that much of the psychology research, research in sociology, researchers in management, economics, etc., are also connected to educational research. The quantum of research, doctoral research contribution to the total number of researchers, doctoral researchers in India, it can be considered to be much high, even though the number of researchers as such is much low. The percentage of research, as I have told you, is nearly 1% of less than 1% of the total enrollment in higher education is of PhD students, and only nearly 15 to 20% of students, depending on the discipline, of postgraduate students is coming to doctoral research after the post-graduation. So only less than 1/5 of the postgraduates are going for a doctoral research in India. It's a too less a number. And so there is a huge number, nearly 170,000 research students, nearly 2,000 education students, nearly 20,000 dissertations in social sciences in 2020. So it's huge. But what is the present state of these researchers in our universities? There is a consensus that, barring a few exceptions, the overall quality of university and college level research in India is far from satisfactory. Indeed, in many of our universities and colleges, the quality of research is alarmingly poor. In a large number of cases, diseases do not conform to international standards and do not make significant contribution to theoretical or applied aspects of a given discipline. Why is the case so? I think many of the students who are listening to me may be in a better position to comment upon the reason why we have less than satisfactory quality of research. The indicators of quality, you are all aware that I need not to tell you much about them, about the plagiarism, about the validity, about the generalizability, about the quality and type of the problems being pursued through doctoral researchers or even the projects. That I need not comment on. But at this moment, I would like to hear from you. What factors do you feel that the quality of doctoral researchers in our universities are unsatisfactory to us? Please comment about it. Please come forward, a few of you, please at least chat. Can you please tell me some of the things that you feel as the reason for low quality of research in India, especially in social sciences? Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir. All right. All right. Participants, please participate.
Please tell me, what factors do you feel that are contributing to the low quality or unsatisfactory quality of doctoral researchers, especially in social sciences? Especially you comment upon education, if you are majority of education people. Please come up with your some of the ideas so that we can build on that. Has anybody to say something about it? Nothing. Have to say everything.
Sir,
Yeah,
can you
please.
hear me, sir? Okay. So I think, sir, the researchers are mostly doing this research work, not as a result of the intrinsic motivation for conducting research, but for getting a job or eligibility of entering some job. That is one of the main reasons, I think.
Okay, if it's a good point, there may be a lack of intrinsic motivation. And there might be some extrinsic motivation, like maybe a research scholarship or fellowships, having as something of a parking opportunity till an appropriate job comes in. It might be like that. It is one of the reasons, I agree. There is because job is very rare in our for our educated youth, especially in a state like Kerala. It is much alike all over India too, I feel. So scholars may be looking for more for a job than for quality of research. May be true. There are a few academic opportunities that are available to quality researchers. Even if we do quality research, that might not be bringing in a lot of choices for us in enhancing the job opportunities. But it is also true that you just think about it. I've told you there are nearly nearly less than 2 lakh of researchers enrolled for PhD in India now at present, I think. And India has a higher education faculty mass of nearly 30 lakhs. That means that if a PhD is a qualification for higher education faculty, we need 15 times more number of researchers. That is in next 15 times, if it is 2 into, 15 into 2 lakhs, only will be 30 lakhs. So even if this pace of enrollment continues for 15 years, that will only be making adequate number of faculty for our universities and colleges with the appropriate doctoral qualification and quality. So I think what we are focusing, what our researchers are focusing, I have that feeling in my mind that they are not looking for higher education or university level academic jobs. Many of them are having the goal of immediate satisfaction, immediate getting a job just after the PhD degree or even before completion of the PhD degree. They are shifting their focus from PhD to PSC, Public Service Commission jobs. If we focus on research, I feel that we have ample opportunities in near future for getting appropriate jobs for a person with a doctoral or postdoctoral qualification. Then what other reasons you have to cite, please? Any other person, please?
Sir, I perceive that there is a lack of rigorous policy, doctoral research policy. We have a certain kind of policy. Still, it is not very. We are very flexible in terms of. In that case, most of the time, quality is compromised.
Okay. That's a major reason. I agree with Doctor. Because India, as I have told you, is a very vast country. And when we are trying to apply uniform norms across these vast localities, vast type of population, different varieties of people, their economic status, their employment opportunities, their demands, cultural backgrounds, language constraints, etc. We cannot apply uniform policy across the nation. And when the ICSSR or UGC or such national bodies are trying to impose the uniform policies, it actually affects the quality of research in local conditions than it promotes or enhances to the quality of research. The application of the uniform principles and policies across a large country like India is more deleterious than it is progressive and encouraging to the quality of research in India. However, we know that a PhD dissertation is the first indicator of a researcher's ability to produce good quality research. Consideration of the quality of research involves understanding what quality is and what are its parameters. We know that a good research needs a significant question. Significant question which may be based on a pure research interest, maybe based on an applied or utilitarian point of view, but there must be a significant question. In this respect itself, most of our researchers in social sciences can be questioned. Most of the research questions, even though are investigatable, maybe empirically viable, they are not conceptually valid. They are not significant at all. This will have influence on what you might have been suggesting as intrinsic motivation of researchers. When they come for research submission, research proposal or proposing a research, what we demand is having some problem to begin with, to register at first, then refine the question. But once they are registered, many of our scholars are very reticent to refine the question, to pinpoint the question, to make it more valid, to make it more conceptually viable, conceptually standing, etc. Instead, their focus comes then to, once they are registered, it comes then to qualifying the PQE or pre-PhD examination. And then on, they will be trying to have some publication. Even such publications are mostly in very low quality journals, which are predatory mostly in nature, maybe with some ISSN or ISBN, etc. So the first 2 or few years are focused more on creating the technical requirements rather than refining the question and making the research more valid and reliable. And we need independent, balanced and objective approach to research problem. And it also needs transparency. But I think most of our researchers are obscure in their tendency to reveal what their actual research problem or research question is. Instead of being transparent and communicative, collaborative, sharing about the problem at hand, most of our researchers keep the problem for themselves or with the supervising teachers only for at least the beginning years of the research. That causes a lot of damage for our understanding, for developing our understanding of the area, and for sharing our views, for getting the views of others, etc. Even if we are presenting some seminar or some area of the topic of research in some conferences, etc., most of our research try to hide what the real problem of their interest for doctoral research is. And when we come to doing the research, most of our researchers are again trying to classify their research as either as survey research or experimental research or even mixed research or historical research. We brand the research methodology than taking up an appropriate methodology which is suitable to the problem at hand. The attempt is rather to brand it as experimental or qualitative or quantitative or descriptive or survey or questionnaire or case study and the like, rather than what the problem actually is posing and what the possible solution will be and what methods can be used to ensure the solutions derived from the study are valid and transferable. So there is a lack of proper conceptualization of the research problem. And when I come to the methodology of research problems, research context in education, I nowadays feel that we have been much stronger with respect to research tools and research sampling. At least in Kerala, there is a state that every researcher is creating newer and newer tools, even though such tools and devices exist in literature, in the same department, or even under the same supervisor. Our effort is being spent in creating low quality tools and devices. In spite of, there are hundreds of such tools existing in the various departments within the state and outside the state. So it is the lack of communication, lack of collaboration among the different researchers, different departments of research, among the different disciplines that cause this type of scenario. I also feel that increasingly we are limiting our sample, even though we are defining our samples. Our populations in a wide way, maybe we are stating that 9 standard people of Kerala or like that. When coming to the actual data collection, we are limiting our even the surveys to a few districts, a few taluks, or even blocks, which we all know that are not representative of the population under consideration. All these cannot be attributed to merely the fact that our doctoral research students are not having much future job opportunities immediately available for them in the academic field. I think much of the research cultures in our departments of social sciences, and it includes sciences as well. I am not that much aware about the science researchers. There is a lack of rigor. There is a lack of application. There is a lack of focus in doing basic and valid researches. This is, I think, not because researchers and supervisors are trying to actually dilute their research. For example, I have a feeling that when we are defining research as a systematic application of method of science, systematic method of science for solving the problem at hand, even that very term systematic is not understood by most of our researchers. We might have studied the system, various type of system, the method of science, systematic method of science, etc. But we haven't understood in a proper way what the system is and how it contributes to ensuring valid research findings. What I am trying to convey is that our macro research context is much worse because the micro research context of the quality of researchers, the basic education level of researchers, the basic understanding of the discipline among our researchers, the basic understanding of the scientific method and its procedures among our researchers is too low. And we need to focus on building up such understanding, at least at the beginning of the research years, especially through the theoretical courses we have at the beginning of PhD programs. Yet another reason that I feel as part of the research context is the politics. I am not meaning the politics of campuses. Instead, the total education system, higher education system and its policies are highly politicized and complex. Reforms in education are controlled by political processes rather than by academic interests. Many educational reforms, plans, and ambitions are highly contested. There is high centralization in every type of institution, whether it is university, whether it is state education departments or central or federal government education departments. There is high centralization in decision making about education, including about research priorities. And especially in higher education and research qualities, most state governments are not interfering, fearing that it is the area of interest of the federal government. Neither the federal government nor the state government is having a clear-cut policy of quality of research, neither in sciences nor in social sciences. Another factor that I would like to bring to your attention is the low quality of teaching learning in our education system. It is this low quality of teaching learning, the chronic shortage of faculty, poor quality of teaching, outdated and rigid curricula and pedagogy, lack of accountability and quality assurance, and a separation of research and teaching in all our higher education institutions, whether it is affiliating colleges or university departments. These cause low quality graduates and postgraduates. We cannot create high quality researchers and high quality researchers from low quality graduates and postgraduates. There is a boom in the undergraduate education. As I have told you, in India, we are trying to make the GER, gross enrollment ratio, nearly to 50. We also know that the graduates of our school system who are passing our 10th standard or 12th standard, nearly 98 or to 100% success is there in the secondary education level. Most of them come to higher education even without basic understanding of even mother tongue words. For example, I will like to just make you reflect on what we understand about some of the Malayalam words which have some bearing on quality when we speak about quality research. I think most of the audience are Malayalis. You just imagine what's the difference between Anumanam and Nigamanam. There are two words which are much relevant to research and research discussion. We frequently use that term either in English or in Malayalam. Anumanam, Nigamanam. There are maybe two words which we might have used throughout the secondary level. But even now, I think many of the researchers who are listening to me will have confusion regarding these terms. If we have misunderstanding about two terms in Malayalam, our mother tongue, what our state will be in understanding the various terms of quality of research that we learn in research methodology of our postgraduate programs. I was referring to you about systematic nature. We might have studied many systems at the graduates level or even under higher secondary level. At what level did you actually understood what a system is, what we mean by systematic nature, etc.? when we define education or research as something systematic, we are parroting that term without understanding the very meaning of the term. If we are having misunderstanding, confusion regarding Malayalam words, how can we have a better understanding of English terms, which is only a second language that too that we come to understand fluently only at graduate or postgraduate level. So the state of our graduates, state of the postgraduates who comes to doctoral degrees are very poor, and it is not their fault also. It is the low quality of teaching learning at colleges at different levels that cause low quality of research in our social sciences. And coupled with the uneven growth and access to opportunity in different areas. For example, it is not same to research about education in Kerala or economy of Kerala, sitting in Trivandrum and University of Kerala, and sitting in Calicut University or sitting in Kannur University. It is not same to research about economics of India, economic development factors in India, sitting in New Delhi and sitting in Trivandrum. Even if we speak like that, there is a high internet network. We are all connected. Any data can be accessed through Google or by paying some money, etc. It is not the same research environment that exists across the universities and across the departments. It is much easier to study about secondary school curriculum sitting in Trivandrum than sitting in Calicut. To get some copies of the curricula, textbooks, the reports regarding the various reforms in education, etc., will be much easier at Trivandrum than at Calicut. So we have to combine the capacities of different departments, not only the same type of departments across the universities, but also the different interdisciplinary departments, multi-disciplines, departments of psychology, department of sociology, department of economics, department of education, department of commerce, etc. Such departments have to come together in doing research. And most of our departments, most of our universities are not doing this irrespective of the lip service we do for interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary research. It is this aspect that causes a lot of churn, lot of dilution of research in our universities. And to this extent, I was trying to give the larger context of education with a few larger context of educational research, but with a few examples of focusing on the micro level research. Especially in education, I feel, other social science students, if they are listening to me, please pardon me for this example. Especially in social education, we select some psychological variable irrespective of the context and study purely in a very local context and state conclusion in such a way that it is applicable globally. Instead of focusing our research in a very micro context, for example, I would like to focus our educational research, for For example, on outcomes only, school level outcomes, for example, if a few students are taking up such problems, what type of outcomes, at what level, for example, say Bloom's taxonomy and their types of knowledge, how can we enhance procedural knowledge of doing some activity in a particular unit, for example, is to be researched rather than just researching the quality of teaching in physics or chemistry or biology, etc. Based on a research on a topic, on a unit only, and trying to generalize that finding, saying that such and such method is very much better for teaching physics or biology or social science or like that, based on our research only on a topic to a few students in a particular school. I do not feel that even in a small state like Kerala, students at different regions are not having the same motivation about all types of contents. A student who is sitting in Trivandrum and studying about Travancore dynasty will be having a different interest and motivation on studying the topic in comparison to a student who is sitting and learning the same topic in a school of Calicut town. A student who is studying in Calicut and learning about Samudri and his reforms will be having a set of mental set different from the same standard student who is sitting in Trivandrum and studying the same topic. It is not limited to social sciences or history or like that only. The situation is same in physics or chemistry or like that. A student who is in a plantation area will be having much exposure to formic acid and the like, which are used in rubber processing, etc. But a student who is coming from very coastal area and used to see the ice plants, fish processing, etc., will be having a different set of interest to come from that. So the topics, even the science topic, which we feel that they are uniform, they are of uniform applicability, etc., even across the globe, not to speak about the state, will be having different learning and teaching context in our classroom. So their applicability cannot be generalized. But most of our research in education are having a mental set that whatever we find from a research based on a particular topic, based on a few students in a particular school, which is much convenient to us, is applicable to the whole population. Even the population is ill-defined, whether it is of Kerala students or Indian students or whether the whole global students of 9th standard. So we need to limit our research. We need to delimit the context, delimit to the content, delimit the sample. It is this lack of delimiting which is causing much question about the validity of the research findings, the generalizability of the research findings that we derive from our social sciences, especially in our doctoral researches. So with these few words, I think I can summarize. I was trying to give you some of the macro environmental context of Indian higher educational social research, social science research, and I have tried also to comment upon a few meso level or medium level context factors like the plagiarism, like the quality of research publications, the norms created by universities, the norms created by supervisors and their teams, etc., as well as the micro context of the topics of research, problems of research, the method of problem selection, the method of problem limitation, etc. All these are interdependent. We are not focusing on the micro aspect of the problem because the meso environment of our research is not much appropriate. The meso environment is not improving because the macro environment of our higher education is still lacking in quality. With these words, may I conclude my presentation. I would like to hear your comments upon what I have conveyed to you through this presentation. Please.